Welcome everybody to this afternoon's workshop session. This is actually going to be a real workshop where we're going to get you to work, as opposed to being able to check your emails and any other things taking place. So I'm Olivier Crépin-Leblanc, I'm the facilitator for this afternoon session. Joining me are Serena, if you can put your hand up so you can see. So Serena, Ilya, Liana, Dusha, Gregory, Karen, and Justin. Right, so they're all the co-facilitators for the different small groups that we're going to be creating here. The title of the session is, Should I Click for Internet Governance? And where? And it would be easy if it was just a case of clicking, but unfortunately there needs to be a lot more than that. If it was just clicking, you could just say like, and you would be taking part in internet governance. But unfortunately, the majority of users out there, internet users, 3-point-something billion internet users, are users on the one hand, but they don't seem to be taking any part into the internet governance discussions and into discussions that actually will affect them at some point or other. The session itself, the session description, I don't know if you all have a sheet in front of you. There are still a few sheets that are available on this table. I think they've been put on the various tables here. And I'll read through it so that we can all put ourselves into the mood of the discussion. So the internet is transforming our society into a digital information society, and it becomes a key enabler for economic growth and social, cultural, and political development. Internet access is more and more available to end users, core businesses and government entities around the world. This, in turn, enables end citizens, end users, I guess, to more easily participate in a democratic society via, for example, e-democracy and e-participation tools. It allows private companies to consolidate and expand their businesses and offers governmental entities the opportunity to communicate easier and more efficiently with citizens. E-voting and the feedback that you can now do in on many government websites and the e-services which are provided, to provide better and more efficient public services as such. Internet can be seen, in a nutshell, as an empowering tool. Many of us see this every day and are part of this process. But under what circumstances is the internet really able to play this role? Is access simply enough? Or is there a larger list of ingredients that, if mixed in a proper way, the essential mix of ingredients needed, enable the internet to actually play this role as a catalyst of economic and social, cultural, and political development? If we take end users as an example, does it mean that if they have internet access, they automatically actively participate in the digital society? Or are there more prerequisites that, put together, truly empower end users to be an active part of the digital society? What about digital literacy? What about awareness, education, adequate and encouraging public policies and regulations? Do they also play a role? Now, there's a little bit more on this, and bear with me. It's just to set the scene and start thinking, because you are going to be required to bring your input to the process in a slightly different format than the usual format of having people sitting over here and rambling for a few hours whilst you all fall asleep. Furthermore, internet governance processes are also aimed to shape the evolution and use of the internet in such a way that this network of networks contributes to sustainable development. Assuming internet stakeholders are empowered by the internet to actively participate in a digital society and contribute to sustainable development, how do we make sure that they are equally empowered and motivated to take one step further and to actually participate in the internet governance processes, in the internet governance issues that are on the table? And why is participation important to both a sustainable development of the digital economy and digital society, and for efficient and effective internet governance processes? So we have a number of questions that we are we're asking and that we're going to ask the various groups that we're going to create here to try and respond to. It's more of a, I guess it's a brainstorming session, so you can come up with your views and then we'll be bringing the views back together afterwards. The session objectives, there's three main objectives. First, to discuss the connection between internet access, empowerment, and active participation in a digital society and in internet governance processes. Secondly, to identify motivations, prerequisites, challenges, and barriers when it comes to meaningful participation. And I know that language is one of them, but there are plenty of other reasons for people not to participate. And thirdly, to develop key messages encapsulating possible ways forward in terms of moving from a simple access, checking your Facebook, your email every now and then, to actually being active and participate. So that's the main component parts. I hope that we're going to have some sustained debate and discussion going on here. There are a couple of microphones that will be able to travel around the room. The way that we're going to work this out is as a World Cafe. I must say, when I read the words World Cafe, I wasn't quite sure what was meant by that, but it's a format that we're trying, and I hope that we can fully participate in this. We're going to have breakout groups. I think 3 is probably the right number. We've got a board on this side, group 2, a board on this side, and a board on this side. We might wish maybe to move this one further back or so that we have a bit more space between the different boards. And the way that we're going to be looking at is to answer or try and answer some of the questions that are on the second page of the workshop. So the first round of the group discussion is to look at the key note of this workshop, and that's how do you move forward from internet access to active and meaningful participation in the digital society and in internet governance processes. Serena or other members of the team, do you wish to add a few words? No few words. So first thing, I guess we have to group ourselves into equal size groups, 3 groups. Oh yeah, there's some work going on. So maybe we can have one group around this table here with this, and then, well, there's a group over there. You guys can remain in the back with this sheet, and this group here, maybe we can. No, this one is the one that we're going to keep for the overall discussion. So the way that we'll actually put our ideas on the different charts, and then at the end we're going to bring all of those ideas onto a main chart and summarize the ideas on the main chart.
This one is near your table.
So one group is here, one group is here. Maybe we can bring the flow chart closer.
Yes.
Closer here, yeah. Bring it over here. Excellent. And I realize there are also people following us remotely. We will be monitoring the points that are put in the online, and we'll be also integrating them with the final proposal, I guess. Excellent. So a quick introduction of everyone around the tables. Okay. And I guess the facilitators are going to be conducting the discussions in each one of the tables. This is a very busy table. I hope you guys are going to come up with a lot of a lot of ideas. Okay, and each one of the charts has this. Excellent. So, how do you move forward from internet access to an active and meaningful participation in a digital society and in internet governance processes? Possible topics to be covered, just a few thoughts. Relevance and motivations, prerequisites. Do you need to learn about internet governance before you start? Is there a course that you need to follow? Do you need to be licensed to deal with internet governance? Who knows? Should you have a university degree before you even open your mouth in these issues? Who knows about that? Guiding questions, perhaps. There are some guiding questions that are available in the annex at the back of the sheet as well. What does it mean to be an active participant in digital society? What does it mean to be an active participant in internet governance processes? Are these two, digital society and internet governance processes, two different things, or is it the same thing that we're speaking about? And there's a number of other questions over in the back. So I think I'll hand it over to our table facilitators and get working. And there will be a reward at the end for the best table. We haven't worked out what yet, and we yet have to find the sponsor for that. So if you are a sponsor, please also volunteer for this. Thank you.
terms of money, but also that they see some sort of, hey, I'm being swindled out of the full internet experience here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that
I can give you an example from the domain side of the business. I have a customer who has a .com domain for 10 years. As I am also involved with .rs, 7 registered domain, why don't you register a .rs domain? What do I need it for? I have a website on .com, I have emails, it works. And then I put a hook. What if someone else, do you have a protected name on the server market? No. So anyone and your name, .rs and .co.rs is free. Anyone is available, anyone can register it. If someone from your competition, and you have a well-known name in the market, registers .rs and .co.rs and start, and you see them on the first Google page, would it hurt you? There was no more discussion.
I don't think
How
people
much
think
is
of it
it?
that way. They think
This
of
one is 13
corporations.
euros, this one is 7 euros. Give me immediately.
Yeah. I don't think as individuals we think of it that way. We think of like that, those type of URL, those domains for like corporations or businesses, right? We don't think of ourselves as a brand.
But this was the mechanism.
Right.
When they recognized their interest, immediately they understood everything.
Let's try to go around the table, see how this corner of the table. I know Christopher's got a lot to say. Perhaps you would like to. You've already said.
He
what
kicked
you-
us off.
Yeah, you do have the green shirt that goes with the mug. What about the lady next to you?
Okay.
Not much to add, actually. I think that most of what has been, this we're discussing has been mentioned.
I must say you've written more on the chart now than you have the others so far. So
Can I pose a question? So the discussion was like a lot of internet governance people tend to think users are dumb. I think that was the word that the table used.
No, not down.
But based on the conversation, it seems like they just don't care until it directly affects them. Is that a fair statement?
No,
of what we
they are not
discussed?
aware. Being not caring is, you see a puppy with a broken leg, you just pass by it. That's when you
5 minutes.
But if you haven't seen
We have
it,
another
you're not
5
aware,
minutes.
So they're not aware.
And then we'll go to the next stage.
I also add something. Isn't there a fear that if internet becomes too democratic, there will be a balkanization based on cultural values of different geographic regions?
But it's not like that. That's not happening now. We're just not addressing it in a
The governance
multi-stakeholder
side
way.
will also become like
Would you please, as
I'm
I'm
not
the citizen of Balkan, what do you
yeah.
mean by balkanization?
Apologies for you. This was not meant. This was like
Fragmentation.
Yes,
fragmentation.
fragmentation, then let's use that word, okay.
or that means that we'll go.
No, it's,
Oh, that maybe means that we'll go to sing guest house and listen a lot of music.
So a very good example could be Indians are generally quite happy for search requests to be blocked by the government. As the service said that if the government says things should not be searched by Google, the Indian populace generally is quite happy. Government generally takes the right decisions long term. Out here, Europeans would most probably oppose the government doing that. So if they allow complete end user freedom, what we end up with a system where some places governments or a society might have more factor on that than as it is right now. I agree with you, it is already happening to some extent.
Yeah, but why is the reason? I think that as human beings are not so different. What are the social circumstances that actually shape the opinion of the population in India?
No, I understand. We are not going to be able to change the social circumstances, but if we allow this to proliferate, won't they start affecting internet rather than the vice versa, which is happening right now? Just food for thought. I don't have a solution. But I just took India as example because the same example, and there are more extreme examples in Middle East and China.
the next part of this is going to be that we're going to mix the tables around. So we're all going to actually look at the table and exchange views with other tables. But what we do need is to have a volunteer in each one of the groups, or volunteer here, who will be basically taking the issues and the points that were made on this table and sharing it with the people that are coming from the other tables. So who's volunteering?
He's Volunteer by nomination.
You're nominated.
I've been nominated, okay.
What can I say?
You're the nominee.
If you're okay with that,
I'm fine.
you're okay with the people's decision?
That's fine. I'm sure some people will stay, so help me make sure I get it right.
That should work. Continue the discussion.
No, this is
Well,
how internet governance
Yeah.
works to rough consensus.
No, this is the description of the whole thing. How it is gonna be. This World Cup thing. It's a long. Maybe here on the first page. Executive summary.
You started by talking how internet started by
And you saw it
regulating
just spontaneously.
But it's wrong to imagine that if internet was actually run by people and by governments, we would not have been as free as we are today.
Yes, I agree.
Because governments are generally not free. They are run by people.
But it has to do with numbers. There were small numbers, hundreds of thousands of users. I don't know when internet got to the first million, and now it's 3.5 billion, and we're talking about another billion. So how to, and that group, that first group, let's say for the first 5, 10 years, was rather homogeneous. So similar people, although from other countries, thinking in a similar way with the rather technology influence, and then the internet actually covers all the areas of our life. I remember 10 years ago, in the British papers, you would find news related to internet in every section. You know, from jet set life, politics, sports. Oh, this was on this portal, this was on, well, 10 years ago, not on Facebook, but you know what I mean. At the same time, in Serbia, news about and from internet were in the science technology issue. Today, in Serbia, you have on the front page, oh, who tweeted what? Or someone is going through litigation because of the Facebook post, etc. So it has entered everyday life and every aspect of every activity. So then again, it seems to me that internet governance is the part of the governance of our lives in our respective communities, countries, areas, cities, whatever, from local communities to conglomerates like the EU. And how to enable people to make sound decisions.
So how do you call that?
Good point.
But I mean, the whole. How is it called?
There's no, I mean, it's no formulation. It's part
But you mentioned it. It's not safe.
It's a better translation for you. So it's going to take the next 600
As
years.
Wolf said in Marcus Wolf in Belgrade in March,
Patience, please.
he sees, not in a good way, certain kind of, as Leonid Todorov from Russia put it, internet nomenclatura. Internet bureaucracy, from young ones, as the lady next to me, up to the old ones, like us, if you don't feel sorry, if you don't feel old. I do feel old. But it's more or less the same people. On every meeting, hi, how are you? Oh, see you next week in Barcelona, or next month in Copenhagen. Are you going to Argentina to the Icon?
So what should we look at?
And it's, that group is not so narrow, but it is far from reflecting the whole society. It's like any other group, lawyers, doctors, engineers of any other kind.
Why should it be how to participate and how to be started by saying most people are not so bad. So people who are able to do something easy.
So I think that education is key.
We should not be like saying why
Okay, we're reaching the end of this first part. For those people who are listening to us remotely, you can't hear anything because all of the participants have been basically doing some brainstorming on each one of the tables. And those results will be presented at the end of the workshop, so within the last half an hour of the workshop. The next stage, ladies and gentlemen, is to, well, the host remains at the table, but the other participants have to move to another table randomly and see if the discussions that took place in the different tables were similar or very different. I know you've all just made friends, but I'm sorry. Out.
It makes no sense, some people should say.
A bit of exercise for everyone.
Makes no sense otherwise. Hi. Come on, join us. Hi, Kathleen.
Put chocolate on the table.
There are some seats here.
It's a little bit messy with all the power supplies and everything. Choose your table. So now it's time for the hosts of each table to go through some of the points that were made in the last 20, 30 minutes and to find out if you have anything else to add, or actually if your table has been discussing something completely and radically different. So,
Hello, everybody.
Okay. So you know what should
Internet governance is kind of a deterrent.
He's here too somewhere.
Yes, so I left the gang when I retired in 2005. So you stayed more than a little while ago.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so can we start this second part of the discussion? People, she's wrapping up.
Some of it is. It's also
Can we start?
complex.
Let's start with a quick introduction for those who are new at the table. So please.
As you can see, the marker's starting to go.
Hi, I'm Giancarlo Nicolau from the Media Summit, the official pavilion for the EU. And I'm studying computer science, so I'm here.
Those few users understood.
And there was also the last year.
and for those people who are following us remotely, you may also put your points of view across on the chat, and we'll have people in the remote participation that will be taking this input and bringing it into the final discussions that we have during the last half an hour.
I think we could stick with that. Those were the three main areas I think we touched on. So would you agree? There was one other thing I liked. That the discussion was, somebody says it's my Facebook page, but it's not your Facebook page, and it was given the equivalent of a hotel room. You can't lease your hotel room, you can't sell it, you can't do anything. It's not yours. You just bought it. In this case, that feels
And under
your
very
table.
strict rules. So my room is 409, but that's my, doesn't mean I can use it any which way. I cannot sublet it, not to mention sell. And I'm paying for it. And I call it mine. No, it's not mine. The same with LinkedIn profile, Facebook page, Twitter account.
So now is the time for everybody else who joins to kind of discuss some of the things that were brought up at your tables briefly, and then we can see how everything combines or differences.
So my name is Totka from the same ministry. And
Were there any key
responsible
messages
for
from
ICT
any of your
policy
tables?
issues.
Different, anything more practical or
Hi, my name is Sebao. I'm from Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes,
Education.
yes, education.
Christopher Wilkinson, English, living in Belgium. I've done various things in the internet over the last 20 years, but more recently associated with the EuroDIG CCTLD registry.
I'm Kathleen, I work for the German Foreign Office on internet policies.
Thank you, and I'm Serena. At this table, we looked a bit into why some stakeholders don't have a great participation and what are some possibilities. And some reasons for why we don't participate, because we don't have time, because we don't know enough.
Without apply also
Have
some
financial resources, so
post
these are
scrimmage.
basically the three main reasons. What would be the challenge as one of the points, bringing new voices, because there was a feeling that the various internet governance bodies and all organizations use
or like health
people
or
all over.
physical
And
fitness,
there was this
right?
feeling of a need to bring new voices in and make them.
So, okay, how about this? 60s who I had to shame into putting passwords onto their phones and computers. So how do we maybe like train class tackle that aspect?
We've discussed quite a bit about governments, why they participate, why they don't participate, what are the problems there.
Same solution for everybody.
And there were two things on why governmental representatives or Switzerland participate in the government. One is because it's in the job description, so there is no choice. Have to do because that's what
A little bit loud.
yes. I think I understood. Yeah, but that's
Learn how to use
sorry, no, because they were
device, how to
so, as a governmental representative, you go to an internet governance thing, either because it's in your job description and you have to do that, there is no other way out, or because you become interested in this and make then your government aware and you start to participate as sort of a bottom up, but as from you as individual, not some other stakeholders. But there are challenges for governments. Some of them are financial resources. Let's say more developing countries. In some other cases, this is not a problem because governments do send representatives at the main events on internet governance. Then again, a challenge for governments
Sometimes,
would be
I know,
how
we
do you
live in the
motivate
United
your
States, and
participation because
sometimes when they start to
the
impose,
government
if you will, some people think that's imposing
why would
something
you
into the
go
education
where there is
system, it's taking
maybe
time away from the children learning math or science, you know, but it's sort of almost a cultural or generational mindset too. You know,
The
so
motivation was
this is a great idea, but then you'll always have the other side of it saying, no, I want my child to learn more math than internet governance, you know.
You're from the States. Are you aware what is the ECDL?
But then when it comes to
European Computer Driving License?
like UN or ITU,
Set of courses
diplomats go so
which
there is
provide you
sort
with
of,
basic skills, but those are
not really
excellent
communication between these two sides.
of how to, of what operating system, what is a folder, what is a file, etc. So when you are applying for a job and you have a
Well, I am a diplomat, so I don't agree with that setup. I'm in those meetings as well, and like, you know, we at the UN as well. I would say that my colleagues are perfectly capable of handling those decisions, but that's me. And we also have a
When I
coordination with the
don't
other
know on
ministries, so for
Windows
example,
8 where are my files. I can
that's us.
find them
Yeah,
quickly,
you are
but
lucky.
and now I'm having the opposite problem. I want to
there
know
are some
I want to know the
instances where there is a
structure, of course.
miscommunication,
I
let's
found
say,
out,
between
but
the
not at
different
first. Most people don't need it anymore. They will name a file, they will have on their desktop a folder with their files. They don't bother about the structure of the C and D drive, etc. So if, but that is a good general idea for don't prepare people for internal governance. It's just like those who finish courses for management. I'm a manager. No, you're not. Or I'm a consultant. You cannot be a consultant before your term. You need at least 6-7 years experience. But so what would be the level of education
try to find
that
financial
should be
support
given
for the physical participation of
starting
stakeholders
from
in the various
elementary
meetings
school
because it was
for each level?
underlined. It is actually
That will
important to be
provide
at the meeting even if there are
people
few participation possibilities. As you know,
better
most of
than
the time
average,
the most
better than
interesting
today.
discussions are on the hallways or in
Understanding
lunch breaks.
of what is internet, how it works, and when and how
I still have
can
some
they make,
people that
can they
participate
influence
in the group here,
decisions,
so if you have something else to add.
to make an informed decision. That's like what you need free media for. What we get this morning. Where you get the education.
Right? And do you think some of the issue is, you know, we're also almost overwhelmed with the choices of the technology, to your point, like now I have to I get a new operating system or it gets upgraded and I have to learn that. And we're so almost focused on trying to figure out where am I, how to use it, we're not necessarily thinking about what's happening with the data. Right.
Your point is good, and that's obviously I didn't express myself well. When I was making the comparison to ECDL, I didn't mean to make the same thing. You are right about it being very handy with technology, with obtaining information, but having information is not the same as having wisdom. 90% of information today was generated in the last, all information was generated in the last 2 years. But 90% of wisdom was generated 2,000 years ago. So what I had in mind was, if you saw it on internet, it doesn't mean it's true. Or it's opposite of the, I saw it on internet, so it must be true. No, it most likely is not.
Young people are much more aware of that fact than older people. So there's actually no problem. That comes with efficiency.
Yesterday I heard about studies completely joking.
Okay, most of the studies, at least as far as I've seen, says that young people are much more critical to the information they read than older people. So it's totally self-solving older people.
There is a problem.
But I think we mentioned at our table that it's going to be people that are active in super. If they want more people involved, we need to do an active outreach. We need to actually go into the passive users and tell them this is what we're doing, this is how we do it. Because information about the fact that there is some people that love music is the first step to ever getting into music. They will not remember a class in school years ago about that. They need to be constantly reminded by the active society. This is something that we are actually trying to get people to do. And then you have to sort of catch the people that seem interested. Not everyone will ever hear it.
People's passion.
Net result is multi-stakeholder consultations. The government voice is and we have multi-stakeholder consultations which are entirely dominated by
I think you have to take them onto the table because the others can't really follow.
I see. Well, that's about this way. But
Based on your comments about the kids now kind of just teaching,
the main
being more
point I made
critical,
was
teaching themselves with everything. I'm going to pose a question. I don't know.
facilitates
Do you think the internet governance issue in the future, 15, 20 years from now, do you think that everybody's going to be involved because of that slant? How does everybody feel about that?
But you will not be able
Young
to
kids
change
and
the
the
time
younger
zone.
generation coming up who are just learning this stuff,
Participate.
they're going to have that critical eye, or are they not? Is it going to be status quo?
They will not be involved.
The other
The majority will not be involved. The majority is not involved in any kind of governance. We have every effort to allow this government, but we don't involve ourselves. We pick the few aspects where we can actually join us in the same organization.
I don't participate in multi-stakeholder
But I think more people will be involved in more aspects. The current group will be about techies, and then there's some state servants and
waiting until
that
there's
sort of have to be
meeting.
They are the two people. Regardless if you go to academia, if you go to techies in academia, if you go to civil society, if you go to techies in civil society, it's sort of the same group of
Someone
people.
else? Some
With a few
other
exceptions.
things?
But over time, that you would have more branches of different kinds of people who get involved.
5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes until we move again. 5 minutes.
Now that we're at the end, they gave you better marker.
So were there any other topics at any of the other tables?
Just going back to the education things, it's been a while, but when you go to school, you look for kind of clubs that mural or whatever type of activities. You got the chess club or the math club or there's sports clubs. But even at that level, in parallel, are there sort of clubs or activities outside of those types of things going on at schools? And I know that becomes an issue because then there's funding and how that gets funded. Obviously, the United States taxpayers. But just finding creative, innovative ways to sort of start getting people engaged. But again, the interest has to be there. The passion has to be there. Because everyone, is not going to be.
I would say not the passion for internet governance, but the passion for something in their life,
Yes.
and when they realize that it is heavily that person heavily affected by
Yes.
all aspects of internet, then they will get involved. Like cyberbullying.
Yes.
Bullying was always present.
Yes.
Often solved by moving kids to another school. When the kid could start afresh. Yeah, but now the kid moves to another school, goes to various social profiles. He immediately finds, or she finds themselves in the same situation. So cyberbullying is much more like a new drug. I'm afraid much more dangerous, different, although it's the same thing. So it's a new class of problem. And now parents who are worried are aware that it has a lot to do with internet and the use of internet by children, by teachers, by themselves. And then they start to search for solutions.
Okay, one more minute and then we're moving again.
Old analog model.
Yes.
We used to have a digital footprint in our life or a digital footprint of our certain activities of our life. Right now we are on the border of living digital life. Like the next thing is making driving cars illegal, which is what we see now as an experiment. Autonomous cars will in the end be concluded with the prohibition of driving. You will be driven cars to avoid for your own safety. Like when I was driving cars, the seatbelt was not
a little bit
obligatory
broad view. So why we are here? Because we
as
are
of 25 years ago, it is
right on.
So, but mostly what we are going to do is to solve some kind of some problem, some issue related about this topic. And you have different people that have to interact. And mostly of the people, you would like that these people have a educational background that can really understand what they are going to do. But the problem at the moment which is that we don't have a standardization
we are just heating up.
Internet, a lot of master and so on. But the real idea about this multi-stakeholder approach is that you have
more time to change the world.
Give the opportunity to a different point of view.
We'll be finished by dinner.
Okay. So, I see discussion is still going on all the tables, but we're going to have to move again back to our original tables.
We need to work here.
We need to work. Well, I wish we had 3 hours for this. And one of the other tables is just about heating up now, so there's still some time to add some more points when you go back to your table and then try and derive a few points. I'll tell you in a second what you next need to do. So we're ready to move?
Yes.
Yeah, back to your original table. Back to your original table. Okay, everyone, a little bit of walking about. Spread your legs. Do a bit of running. That's the only exercise you're going to get today anyway, so make use of it. Are we all back in the original table? So for those people who are following us remotely, we are going to be taking your input from the chat that's on WebEx, and we will be adding those points to the discussion at the end. We're running a little bit behind schedule, so in about 10 minutes we'll be starting with the actual putting all of the ideas together in one piece. So please type in all of those thoughts into the chat, and we'll be adding them at the end. Thank you. And so now we're back with our original group. And the task now, with those people that have been ambassadors and moved to the other tables and then are now coming back, is to effectively basically put back those thoughts that you've heard elsewhere and try and focus a lot more on what you've heard and come out with a number of points. So you should try to identify possible ways forward in terms of moving from internet access to active, meaningful participation in a digital society and an internet governance process. And at the end of those, it says 20 minutes on there, but I think we're running out of time, so it would be about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes maximum. You should have developed at least 3 main points. 3. I see that the charts are filled with dozens of points. It's going to have to come down to 3. What are the 3 most important points which you would like to bring over to the final report or the session's end, basically? So 3 points that you feel are particularly important that you might have heard elsewhere or on your table And then we'll be spending the last 10 minutes of this session bringing all of that together on the chart that's over at the back of the room. And you can get going. And no need to introduce yourself again. These are the same people you saw about 15 minutes ago. So get going.
The main question, how do we make people participate basically? What are the challenges and how do we address them? Yeah. There was one thing mentioned here that maybe even with now online participation is not probably the best possible thing with the evolution of technologies that can change a bit things and online meetings can become more meaningful. But then again, we still have the challenge of time. That's here. And the other one about legitimacy and representation, especially in the case of civil society. If you have some civil society organizations participating in whatever internet governance process, can you say that they are really representing the whole civil society? And if you don't, how do you interact? Yeah, this was just some heads up, but now we need to identify some messages.
If you are funding. It's nice if you are funding. If you don't. Yeah, you know better your computer.
We can, so
than your
yes,
phone.
now, yeah.
We were all part of the first page.
Yes.
Can we try to wrap up and
So our goal is to come up with 3 key outlines. What was discussed at this last time, the big ones was any incentive that someone could actually make a difference by participating, and training courses, and that there's a need to self-organize amongst this community to come to these events and do things in order to educate everybody. There was a question as to what level does it start for people and what level of expertise do you have to do that? So that was pretty much the main takeaways as far as internet governance when getting people involved in internet governance on the last day. So,
Yeah, knowledge, training.
I guess I'm going to tear this off so we can show them both at the same time.
And the third is effectiveness. You need to see that you are effective. You can be effective. And something can change.
Not good. I finally got a new marker. So we had here, like a 101 requirements class almost. How internet governance is becoming part of the governance in our lives. Curriculum, again, education seems to be coming up. I don't know if that's going to be one of the points. It's a complex process. It's difficult for normal people to participate, take the time, educate themselves.
That's exactly my thought. But we are.
So this is internet governance crowd.
Technically, governments represent the end users as well. You know, for the democratic system. So if you're going into the legitimacy debate.
It's expensive, that's a barrier.
I know what you mean, but it's kind of, legitimacy doesn't make any sense because the concept is like it depends from where you're coming from. And we're not going to solve that when we talk about participation. We just want as many people as possible to understand what we're doing and to help inform it, basically. So I wouldn't go into the accountability or legitimacy debate because it's not getting us anywhere. And we can't solve it here. So it's really about, I would say that the education training funding is very important because without that, you can't participate and you cannot see that you can change things like the first thing without actually being part of it. Because remotely, you'll never see the results of what you do. that's just, you know, you need the network to kind of see the effects. At least that's how I feel. But
And awareness. Awareness seems to be a big topic that people don't get involved in or aware of. So, I guess that leaves us to pick a few messages out of these. So what does everybody think?
2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes.
but that's like the same in all policy fields, right? You have to make your voice heard. It's up to you. No one's going to hand you the mic. You always have to have an opinion and a stake, and you'll make it heard. Like I think that's not particular to the internet field. I mean, it happens in all the fields. We had the same problem in environment issues. We had the same problem, you know, in all the things. Globalization. You can make your voice heard if you really care about it. I don't think that's particular to internet policies.
They don't train.
Sure, but I mean, that can be kind of a takeaway too. It's like, you know, maybe. Other than that, we're all affected.
No, but which you should put education.
I know, but that's kind of the fundamental question.
Awareness, education, and there's
Process, right?
yeah, process.
Yes, process of building a need of using it. Some people used to use
Building an awareness of what happens when you use it, when you access. We say we access information and all the services. What we don't feel, what we don't say, what we don't usually know, what we don't feel is that we are also being assessed. By whom? By all the intermediaries, starting with the company that made this phone, both hardware and software, and especially firmware. You know what I'm referring to. And then all the intermediaries, ISPs, and up to the whatever source we wanted information or any service from. So most people say, well, so I have a simple password which I can remember. I'm not important. What do I care? One day, when you become important, even in your most local area, someone who develops an interest in you will be able to get an incredible amount of information about your whole profile that you don't know you already have because you have made it by your unconscious actions. And everyone will say, nobody is following you. But every information, every activity is collected automatically.
I think it's fair to tie awareness and education together into one bullet point.
Yeah, it goes here, so we have it.
I suggest the third point, it's to be recognized from where you are talking.
Awareness through education.
Means that I love when somebody say, but the government talk about on behalf of you as users, and you don't need to be there. When I start to be involved, I had the government saying that, the CC and SO saying that, I am you are the government. Sorry, you are the government. No, but it's very often that we are talking about we are the voice of all the citizens, and you are part of them, and we don't need you. It's never said like that. The CCTLD saying, but we gather the local internet community, and we talk on behalf of the end user also. And we need to be recognized as a voice in this process. And then not just the new people need to see that they are recognized.
Yes, it reduces some of the barriers, but when you look at it, a large part of this IT process work because people know each other, familiar with each other, in the hallway.
The trust gets formed, right?
You do all the participation that you want, but if you're nobody from nowhere, then people aren't going to pay a lot of attention to you. There's this opportunity.
1 more minute. Finalize your points, please, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's hard to do that.
Yeah, but when you say you are a voice because you are a user, it's you have no organization behind
However,
you. You are. Yeah, then it's easy to say I talk on behalf of me.
It's not the same
End
like
user.
when you say
Oh,
that thing
yes.
and win. And if you just read it, it can be offensive. Even for the person whom you know, without that wink or eyebrow movement or all that makes the body language.
We are working on it. Now we are working on it.
Yeah, but the problem is that all the others didn't know yet that they need to use the same tools as us. Because it's quite interesting, the discussion today about the summit in Paris about climate change. Oh, but how we can deal with an intergovernmental organization and what to do? Just try to do like we do for internet. But they don't know.
Like a user group, like kind of concept? Yeah.
Okay. I think it's time for us to move to the next part of this agenda, and that's putting all of the points back together from all the three tables. Each table has 3 points that they wish to bring to the overall discussion. We now have about, I would say, about 20 minutes or so where we'll be able to conduct the discussion. There are also a couple of points which have been made by remote participants, so we will be also folding them into the overall end message. And we have, in the middle of the room, we now have a flip chart where I'll need a volunteer to write the points on the flip chart. I don't know who has a good handwriting and is able to pick the pen on this. Liana, okay, excellent. So which table shall we start with? 1, 2, or 3? Who wants to volunteer to be the first one? It's great to see people being so, yes, me. Okay, that table is volunteered. Vlada, are you you're a volunteer for this? Okay.
I was appointed as a volunteer.
Okay, excellent.
I'm an appointed volunteer.
All right, so the 3 main points, what we're basically trying to do here is to put the points across, and then there'll be a discussion among the different tables, and everyone is invited, of course, to participate, use the microphone, and discuss the points of whether you think they're valid or invalid, or they should be strengthened, or they're really, really important. Vlada, the floor is over to you.
So, there are 3 points with a couple of sub-points. And I think that fits. Should we start? Okay.
Liana, yes, we can start. We'll start with Vlada, and then we'll get the remote participants to, so we'll get a reading of what was said remotely, and then we'll continue with the other tables. Over to you, Vlada.
So 3 points with a couple of sub-points. The first one is possibility to change. So the users need to see the possibility to change. They have to see the possibility to deliver the change. They need to be able to see the results. So it's a way, in a way, it's the users need to see the possibility to impact, to change. The question is how, we don't know it, but they simply need to see that possibility in order to be more active.
So are you saying it's the possibility of them having an impact in the final
but they need
result?
to see it.
They need to see
they need
it.
to
So
see
demonstrable impact on what they're saying.
They need to see the results of their involvement in a way, right? So the results kind of. The second one is the ability to participate. So there is different ways that you can assure that people can actually participate, because if they wish to participate and they can't, it doesn't help. So ability to participate, which includes probably first and foremost funding and education and knowledge. Probably more, but funding and education and knowledge as first as the ability to participate. And then are you catching up? Okay. And the third one is, how do we put it, Sebastian? Where is Sebastian now? Recognition of all stakeholders in the process. So that means that on whoever behalf you're talking, whether you are a representative of a government or a CCTLD or a company or merely a user, you should simply be acknowledged as a stakeholder in that process and listen. So in a way, you have to have the right to say from whatever stakeholder you come. So those are the 3 points. With a short comment that we at the end wrapped up, that we realized that almost none of these is specific for internet. That all of these are kind of probably unique. I mean, general for all the processes, climate change or whatever. So we are hoping for a Nobel Prize for this. And that there might be one specific thing that you might add as a 3.5 is the use of crisis. So when the internet is down, everyone knows that. When there is a catastrophe in New Zealand, not many people will care. But if the internet is down, all the users are going to take care about it. So kind of use the crisis, don't waste the crisis, is probably one of the 3.5 additions to it. And I'll stop here. I think, I don't know if I said everything. Huh? That's it. Thanks.
Thanks very much for this, Vlad. Well done. Does it actually mean that we basically, if we want more people in internet governance, we should switch it off for a day and find out how many people go out in the streets and bring it back, bring it back? Okay, we have a couple of philosophical tweets that happen online, and we'll turn over to that.
Yeah, it's literally 2 tweets, very philosophical. When you stare into the internet stares back into you. And having information is not the same as having wisdom. So this is kind of food for brain.
Having information is not the same as having wisdom. That's an interesting thought. Okay, we've captured this. Yeah, I think that this one is, yeah, having...
Internet.
Not the same as having wisdom. All right, let's turn to the table that has a mic, which is the table that has a mic now. There's a microphone here. Let's bring it over here. And who is going to be the lead person? Grigory. And here's the microphone.
Thank you. We have, I think, not very far ideas from our neighbors. But our definitions are very short. I don't want to tell more about our decision. That's it. So first, we think that it's necessary to have funding, representation, education, and necessary to fight apathy. Fight apathy.
So fighting the I'm not bothered by this, it's not my business, whatever. Fighting apathy.
But
yep.
Just the decision of the people.
Good. No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. Second is what is it? Improve. Huh? Improve. Involve the multi-stakeholder model to be more inclusively. And third, practical recommendation to activate ISOC, ICANN, EuroDIG, international structures to distribute information in countries, in local communities. Activate ISOC, ICANN, EuroDIG, UN, and similar structures to disseminate information in local communities.
Okay, Liana, you have that? Yeah, excellent. Well done, table 3. We now have table 1, or 2, or no, group 1, group 2. Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Go for it.
Well, as usual, when you're the last group to go, just about everything's been discussed. So I'm going to follow up on. I've seen a lot of key points to be awareness and education, and so regarding the awareness, our table said that maybe utilize local IGFs to bring awareness to people as to what happens when they use the internet, to their data, their privacy, and all of that. So maybe just awareness and education, and utilize local IGFs. And then also we had another one, develop a mechanism for a users group. to participate in this type of forum. And then I'm just going to add one more that our table had because our other ones were taken. So we had this internet governance space is very complex. So find a way to make it simple for everyday people who are not involved in this space to understand it. So I would say, let's say, reduce complexity of the IG space for everyday people. Kind of like our friends and family who have no idea what we do when we come to these places. So.
That's great. It's good that you mentioned friends and family. I'm not quite sure that some of us know what friends and family are, but I guess friends and family are here. Okay, so now we've got all these messages. I think maybe if we can put them next to each other, so I don't know if we can kind of take some of the sheets down from here and put them across in the other sides. I require assistance on that. Are there any reactions by anyone to these points which were all discussed pretty much independently, but I've seen some collusion and some certainly points being quite similar with each other. Anyone willing to provide us with some feedback as to what they see? Is this surprising? Is this something that rings a bell with you? Are there any specific points which you think are particularly important for this session to be able to take as bullet points, conclusions for the end of the session? Or should we take all of them? If you can use the microphone, please.
As I see, the main point is that in all the group I see is education, engagement, awareness.
I can try and so awareness is everywhere, okay.
Education, awareness, engagement.
Education, awareness, and engagement.
Engagement. I see this in all three groups.
Okay, that sounds like quite good start, yes. Any other points? Anybody disagree with this? Nobody disagrees. Does anybody agree with this? I see a couple of hands up, at least a couple of people are up. Christopher?
Well, certainly the educational aspect is essential. I think it's necessary to bring everybody up to a knowledge of how the internet works on a par with getting a driving license. But my main point was about participation. I don't think people will ever have enough funding and time to go to all the meetings. I think it would be important to improve remote participation. At Net Mondial, we saw a sort of prototype of remote participation. It worked a bit some of the time, but I was sufficiently convinced that within a few years the technology of remote participation would be vastly improved and would facilitate participation globally. Bearing in mind the time zones, so you still have to participate in the middle of the night if you really want to. But that would be my suggestion. A gloss on what we've already said.
Yeah, so the next topic will be how to make the world flat, I guess.
No, the interactive the interactive videos between Sao Paulo and Ghana and Chennai and a few other places, they actually did work some of the time.
The use of local hubs and so on has been local discussions, local hubs feeding into the process, perhaps.
Well, I didn't comment on Internet of Things. If you want to add Internet of Things to this list, that's for somebody else to. It's a bit late in the afternoon.
Yeah, no, that's a
bit
late for this.
Bring that one up.
Any other thoughts, Vlada?
I'm just trying to keep myself not to fall asleep, so that's why I'm talking. No,
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll start singing. It will wake you up.
I can do dancing, but I'll do that later. No, I was struck by what Christopher mentioned, the term of time. And actually, we don't have time, and time is also one of the things. Now, we can't get more, not for the session, I mean time for being active in the IG, but you can't get more time. But if the system or the whole process is more effective, that helps. That cuts the time. So effectiveness of the process is also something that matters, not just the possibility to change, but how effective it is. Because you're not going to waste time, even if it makes changes in 10 years.
Yeah, thanks for this. Any other... Efficiency. Did you say efficiency? That's I'm going around in circles with a mic at the moment.
A very short comment. We talk about to have the possibility to have an impact and also the ability to participate. I think that both of them are really connected, because if you want real participation, if you have a measurable impact, this is the most important thing. Because if you don't have some way, some tools that you can value, measure, so you know the SMART idea about simple, measurable, achievable, and real time. So at the end, what happened that the technology continued to be to evolve, is so fast, and the people start to don't be motivated to participate in this event, and at the end they will collapse. So they don't have
possibility to see the results having an impact.
You know, the SMART methodology. It seems there have to be an objective, have to be simple, measurable, achievable, and with time constraint. So if you plan all these kind of objective in this way, so you can measure. So you can be, okay, I participate, I've done something, so I'm motivated to continue to be active, maybe try to do, you know, the snowball effect, so I need other people, motivate other people, you get it. So the community will be enlarged, something like that. So
okay, so achievable goals and
it's
being
smart.
able
It's
to
a
measure
methodology. You go
the
on
SMART
internet
methodology.
and
Maybe
try.
we can add to this also SMART methodology. So we have possibility to see the results, and that's all part of this methodology. Who doesn't agree with possibility to see the results, or who agrees? We've got good agreement here. Yeah, I see a lot of hands up. Ability to participate, and that, of course, is linked to having the time. I think we've mentioned it elsewhere, and having maybe the funding also to be able to participate and to have a voice. Anyone disagrees, thinks there should be a change? No? Okay, participate, sounds good. Recognition of all voices. So we're all allowed to go and speak at the table, but then I guess that works over with the possibility to see the results, because you could be let at the table and be told, go ahead, speak, and then nobody listens, which is another problem. Activate international organizations like ISOC, ICANN, EuroDIG to disseminate information. This looks very much like some kind of capacity building that we're dealing with here. Anyone disagrees, or I see no one put their hand up. Okay, that sounds good. Christopher, you disagree?
No, I don't disagree, but I think it's
a microphone.
It's an integral part of the education, because
wait, let's just.
Strictly speaking, thank you. If you spend a bit of time on the websites of the organizations and entities, and I'm not quite sure to what extent you can put the United Nations and the Internet Society in the same basket, but the information is there. There are a lot of people. I mean, you can always improve and add and update the information, but an enormous amount of information is there. It's part of education and motivation to tell people where they can find it.
Okay, thanks for this. And that's all to do with education, with capacity building. I see several points that have been developed here will actually come together, I think, under one bullet point, and perhaps the team can do this afterwards and put these together rather than keeping everyone from the coffee, which is going to be accessible to you in a couple of minutes. Then we have having internet is not the same as having wisdom. Any thoughts on this? Internet and wisdom. that came in from the net. That perhaps is just a philosophical view of the overall points. Have funding, representation, and empathy. I think that probably relates back to the first points that we had here. Seeing the results, being listened to, and being able to participate, both financially and also time-wise. And finally, evolve the multi-stakeholder model to be more inclusively participating. That could well be an overall overarching scenario. Okay, well, I think that's a pretty good set of bullet points that we have and pretty good set of results. It's all come down from you, so thanks to all of you for having participated in this workshop. And I hope that the format has been a format that you've enjoyed doing, rather than just sitting in the audience and listening to people rambling on. You've had to only listen to one person rambling on, which is not so bad, I guess. So thanks to all of you, and we'll be transmitting these messages, putting them together into just a short set of bullet points, and sending them over to the main process. Thanks, and well done.